The Northern Territory's minority Labor government faces a tough battle to win a fourth term this Saturday, at a time when Labor is struggling in the national polls. Voting has already begun in remote Indigenous communities. While seats in the bush have mostly been safe for Labor this time around, the opposition Country Liberals are running some high-profile candidates in the bush seats. Sara Everingham reports.
Morning, how are you?
Labor's Karl Hampton is pressing the flesh as mobile polling begins in the seat of Stuart. It's a vast electorate that stretches from just north of Alice Springs to communities on the edge of Arnhem Land. Karl Hampton's been balancing travel through this electorate with the 7 portfolios he's held as a minister in the Territory Labor government.
Today we're voting at Nungarrayi.
Labor's held Stuart for decades, but Karl Hampton's biggest worry is one of his relatives.
I'm Bess. I'm running for this seat.
The Country Liberals' Bess has the seat in her sights. They came face to face during mobile polling in the community of Beswick.
Oh my God, you mob are broke. You mob can't even build anything. You must get the money from federal government.
Have a look at the new school.
Bess is a small businesswoman who's raised her profile through her vocal support of the federal intervention in remote communities in the Northern Territory. Karl Hampton's picking up on discontent with the policy on the ground.
In many ways I see this election in Stuart a mini referendum on the intervention, because my opponent is a strong supporter of the intervention, the emergency response. No more intervention.
You've been mentioning intervention wherever you've been, Karl.
The federal Labor government has implemented its own version of the Howard government's intervention and given it a new name.
As I said, I'm opposed to the legislation. I think it wasn't necessary. I think what I support is the consultation that occurred and the resources and the funding that's now being put into Aboriginal communities.
It's not about the intervention, that's federal.
While Karl Hampton is talking up Labor's long-running investment in the bush, the Country Liberals are trying to tap into discontent in remote communities with Territory Labor's amalgamation of local councils into super shires. Community residents complain the shires are underfunded and the larger local government structures have left them with less control over their affairs.
I think what the feeling is out there is I think people are ready for a change.
In the last federal election, there was a swing against Labor in the remote parts of the Northern Territory. The question is whether there'll be a similar shift in this Territory election. This Territory election, Bess is one of several high-profile candidates running for the Country Liberals in the bush. At the last Territory election, the Country Liberals did not even run candidates in 2 bush seats.
There's no different strategy. All that's happened is that we've had some very, very good candidates come to us and put their hand up for the pre-selection process, and that's been I suppose, the big difference is the interest from people in the bush.
It would take a big swing to unseat Karl Hampton, who holds Stuart with a margin of 15%.
And our logo is uniting all Territorians.
An unknown factor in the race is Maurie, the third Indigenous candidate in the seat. Maurie running for the new First Nations party. Most of its candidates are Indigenous. The party's facing its first electoral test.
I've already had my victory, even without going to the polls. By creating this political party registered, I've got 8 candidates.
The main battleground of the election is still in Darwin, but voters say some of the Territory's biggest issues are here in the bush.
Especially for our young people, the youths, there's no pathway for them to get employment.
Their kids sniffing, their kids aren't attending schools.
Mobile polling continues around the Territory until Election Day this Saturday. Sara Everingham, Lateline.